I felt that I might not be able to keep up with the work that like my other friends could do.
I thought I was going to get a D and not be able to go to the college I wanted and do the course that I wanted.
I realised I'm not dumb, it was just that I needed a bit more guidance to help me get my grade.
Targeted early intervention programmes in secondary schools are being increasingly aimed at raising the attainment of every child at every level.
We target children when they come to us in Year 7 and we don't abandon them, so that there is constant intervention, constant targeting of groups of children right the way through till they leave school at Year 13.
For some years, Preston Manor High School in Brent has laid on a week-long summer school for their incoming Year 7s on the basis of their SATs.
They are selected students who are struggling to achieve their level 4 in their English. And I find that with an extra week in school, they know where the canteen is, they know who the main teachers are, they've got their friends. Then they've got that confidence at the start that the others don't have.
Once in school, the new intake of targeted pupils attend a before-hours breakfast club. Now that's taking early intervention quite literally.
On the board, I've got 4 sentences. What is it not describing very well? I've written some sentences here, and I could just put said next to them, but instead we're going to pick more appropriate words. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes. Let's see what you can come up with. It's very focused, quick, short task. I try not to make it too much like a lesson, no long sections of writing.
Science test? What science test? The period, you idiot, bellowed James.
Excellent, okay. They're with me 3 mornings a week until the end of May, and then they'll take a test to see if they have progress to their level 4, which we hope they have by that point.
But why is intervening early so important when pupils start at secondary level?
Evidence seems to suggest that children that have level 3 in both reading and writing only stand a 10 or 14% chance of getting 5A stars to C, whereas if they get a level 4 in reading and writing, that moves straight up to 70% of children.
At Heathcote in East London, the head and deputy head recognise that the transition to secondary school can be especially daunting for pupils like Connor, who have not yet reached level 4.
When I was at primary school and then made the jump to secondary school, I didn't think that I could keep up with the work that my friends were doing, but I just kept my head up and just tried my best, and I'm getting there soon.
If you could see the floor was 2 foot below her, you wouldn't ask that question, would you? Okay.
On arrival at Heathcote, Connor joined an early intervention scheme.
We chose the students from Year 7 on the basis of their level 3s in the SATs. So it was pretty much straight away. We didn't have a chance to look at them in class, and it was jumping right in.
Today, the Year 7 early intervention group are practicing their listening, communication and literacy skills on the topic of the Olympics.
We had to be in partners. One had to face the wall and the other had to look at the picture, and the person who was looking at the picture had to describe the picture, and the person who wasn't looking had to draw the picture that they was describing. It's got an angel with wings coming from the right side and wings coming from the left side.
There's circles there, about 3 circles there and 2 underneath.
Okay, time's up on that, I'm afraid. It's designed to be quick. It can't be drawn out. It's supposed to be really improving them from level 3 to level 4 as quickly as possible. They're coming out of other classes and we don't want them to be falling behind too much.
When I go to my proper English, it helps. I take bits from that into my proper English.
By Year 9, the extension work provided has to be different from mainstream lessons if it is to engage the interests of top and bottom sets. At Preston Manor High School, this CSI project is designed to improve both scientific and literacy skills.
The scenario that we run revolves around the idea of the head of year of the students having been murdered and the 3 suspects being members of staff at the school. The student's job is to then gather information and evidence and try and come to some sort of a conclusion as to who might have been the murderer. First of all, they'll start by excavating the body out from the burial site and recording their observations clearly and accurately.
What have you got in here?
It's a soil sample from the actual graveyard.
It's a different way of learning than just sitting down in a classroom and writing up or maybe seeing a video.
You need to also be looking for anything in there that could be seen as evidence. Coins, cigarette butts.
It's important to note these things down, what we've done, because in court they'll ask us what we've actually done.
Having gathered their evidence, the CSI team take their findings to the lab and split into teams.
We're now looking at various forensic evidence, so soil analysis, hair and fibre analysis and fingerprint analysis, in order to try and determine which of the 3 suspects was responsible for this gruesome murder.
The team found a fingerprint on the glass, so now we have the fingerprint on the tape, which you've just drawn out of the beaker.
We're going to test the pH scale of the soil. We can see it is an alkali.
From a science perspective, our aim is to enthuse students about practical science work, put it in a context that interests them and allows them to really engage in the topic.
It's made me more enthusiastic about science because I know there's a wide range of things that you can do from it.
I enjoyed all of it. That's forensic science. I enjoyed it.
Their practical work completed, the teams are then required to write a detailed report on their objectives, methodology and findings.
The main benefits of this project is it shows students how important literacy is, not just in English but throughout the curriculum. The speaking and listening element of this project is incredibly important, especially as now the national framework has an increased focus on speaking and listening skills.
What we found is that these students tend to do much better in their GCSE science coursework when they've been involved in the project. We actually find that the value added for those students tends to be above the other students who haven't participated in the project.
Yeah, I think it will be useful for me in GCSE because it's a style of writing, so it will help me in the GCSE.
The CSI project that you've seen, which is a cross-curricular project, puts in place the literacy that they're learning in the intervention programs into a context that children can see as transferable. And if it's transferable in science, it's transferable in every other subject.
This creative approach of requiring lateral thinking and transferable skills is also reflected in the new National Strategies Literacy Plus programme. Designed to lift students to at least a GCSE grade C, its approach is also relevant to high attainers.
Strategies are useful to schools because they provide a lot of resources that schools can use. And if you dip in and out of the resources that the strategy has actually developed for schools, then you will be making a difference to children's lives and children's education.
These Year 9 students studying To Kill a Mockingbird are being asked to do something more imaginative than simply reading and analysing the text.
We're going to try some prediction, and we're going to try some guesswork, and we're going to try almost being detectives with this chapter. We haven't read it yet, but I'm going to give you some clues as to what happens, and your job during this lesson is to put those clues together and come up with what is the main content of that chapter before we read it. One of you in your group is going to come to the front. I'm going to show them a picture, then they're going to go back to the group and tell them what they saw. Who you think it might have been, position they were in, and why you think I gave you that.
Did she look upset or something?
She looks scary. She didn't look upset.
So you make sure someone in your group's taking some notes, because you might not be able to remember all of this. There's lots to see.
Yeah, the woman seemed to be doing that, so like having a towel around her head.
She was at her house sitting on her porch.
I like to get them doing things at the front of the class. I like to get them more active rather than just reading, because we can get stuck into reading that novel, to give us more time in lessons to do more activities, which is what you saw today.
While the Literacy Plus programme has only recently been launched, the Maths and English Skills programme called Study Plus was initially piloted at Heathcote School over 3 years ago. It's already clocked up some success.
When I did see my results, I was so happy to find out that I got my grade C in my maths. I thought I was going to get a D, and then it just showed me where help and what hard work can get you.
Made a big difference because I needed a C in maths to get into the course I wanted to do in college. And because I got that, I'm now doing graphics in college.
The underlying concept is to engage the interest of pupils who are in danger of getting a D in maths or English by making the subject matter more relevant.
Now today in Study Plus we're going to look at properties in Spain.
This lesson involves working out precisely which villa in the sun represents the best value for would-be purchaser Mr. Smith.
He wants to look at the distance from the villa to the airport and from the villa to the beach. Can anyone tell me else what he's going to look at? He's going to look at cost of the villa and he's going to look at the income he might get from the villa. What maths do you think will we need? Right?
Conversion.
Conversion. Anyone else? Joe?
Measuring.
Measuring, definitely. The maths they use is quite applicable in real life, but it's also to do with exam questions and the knowledge they need to go from the D to the C grade.
I need that C in maths and I need that C in English.
Because it's quite a small class, the teacher can come round and talk with you one-on-one, whereas other classes, the teacher can't really do that because there's too many children.
The lesson was interesting and it does help.
Some of the Study Plus students also attend a Maths GCSE booster class, with the teacher helping out only if required.
They are specifically targeted with regards to our pupils that probably looking at a D, but we feel that with intervention they would definitely get their C.
With every pupil working on different problems, the teacher has to help each individually. To stop the distraction of pupils calling out or putting up their hands, they use coloured plastic cards, green for fine and red for flummoxed.
When I move around the group and if I see a red, then I know that the pupil's struggling on a particular question and then I will go and help the pupil. So we're going to have to use brackets because if I don't use a bracket, what does that mean?
When Diane is called upon for assistance, she makes use of a portable whiteboard.
It helps with me explaining to pupils if there's any misunderstanding or misconceptions. It's much more effective than going up to the whiteboard, which pupils are used to in their normal maths lessons.
This intensive one-to-one attention certainly seems to be getting results for Heathcote.
We had 10 pupils last year. From those 10, 9 achieved their C grades.
Little do these students know, elsewhere their head teacher and deputy are using their grasp of maths to decipher a Venn diagram showing which students are on target.
So the section in the middle, these are the students who are getting 5 or more GCSEs predicted by their subject teachers. If they're in the middle section, which is where their best chances are, they're predicted to pass their maths and to pass their English with C's and above. Over here, we take this one, these are the students who are predicted to get, they're in the green, they're in the red, they're predicted to get their English and their 5, but they're not going to be getting their maths GCSE. This is the converse, where they're still getting their 5, they're predicted to pass their maths, but they're not predicted to get their English.
All right, so if we look at the maths list,
Yeah.
are all the children on this list in a group, an intervention group?
There's only one student in the list who's not in an intervention group at the moment. We need to make sure
We need to make sure that he is on an intervention group.
While the head teacher employs her forensic skills to track her pupils' progress, the Preston Manor science teacher flirts with using his for something much more suspect.
On a personal note, I definitely feel more prepared to get away with some sort of criminal activity. Perhaps not a murder, but I definitely feel like I'm better equipped to forge a lovely letter of commendation or a reference letter for my next job.